right, thank you for staying with 95.1 Nigeria Info. It's time for us to get into bonded conversations, which is what we do every Thursday from 11 p.m. And it's all about things that go on in families. Sometimes it's about someone who's trying to start a family and the challenges that they're experiencing. Sometimes it's about, keeping the family going, depending on, what's going on with the people. And in some instances, we have situations where the families have been torn apart due to one tragedy or the other. And trust me, when we say tragedies, there are tragedies that happen in families, and sometimes, especially with their children involved, there are conversations that must go on as to how to keep some semblance of a family going on, even in the face of that. The story that I'm going to be sharing today is a rather heartbreaking one, and it was trending on social media, and I just wanted us to get into the conversation proper. I'm not quite sure if it trended per se, but I saw it, and it really, really moved me to want to be able to talk about it, get in on all angles to the conversation and see whether they can get some kind of help. If at all. It is a family it's a tragedy that I would say has torn the family apart. And there was some backlash concerning the young man who shared the story. So let me just get into it, and then we'll open up the phone lines, because you listening, you're my guest today, and I'd like to hear from you. Speaking of hearing from you, we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. Be sure to join in on the conversation. Just go to Nigeria Info Abuja on either of those platforms, and you can get in on the conversation, right? So let's talk about this unfortunate tragedy that happened. But before I get to the tragedy, let me just lay the ground rules, okay? Or not the ground rules, but sort of like the foundation, because you have somebody who has decided that this is the way that they're going to be able to cope when they're in a relationship with somebody. You have an idea of what you can handle and what you can't handle, and that's why people are encouraged to get to know their spouses, quite well, so that, because nobody's perfect, right? You know that there are things that everybody comes with their own kind of baggage, their strengths, their weaknesses. You want to be able to take stock of everything that your partner has come with and say, for whatever reason, these are the things that I can deal with, and these are the things that I can't deal with. Some would say marriage is for better or for worse, and so get a proper grip on it so that you're not just jumping from one marriage to the other, right? This young man said, look, I had told myself that if I ever found out that my partner cheated, right, and that some other man has touched her, if I ever found that out at all, that I will instantly break up with the person. And he says there was a scenario where, he was dating someone, right? And then he found out that this lady cheated on him. And even though he loved her very much, his love for her was not so big that he would decide to continue in the relationship, right? But that's at relationship stages. So it's easy for someone to make that kind of decision and stick with it and break up. Now he gets married, and he's happily married to his beautiful wife, and they're doing very well, only for them to be robbed one night. And in the process of the robbery, unfortunately, his wife was violated. His wife was raped. So it wasn't just she was beat or manhandled, she was raped right in front of him. And so there is that you hear that something like that happened to your wife, and there is that you witnessed it, right? He did not only witness it, but according to him, the thing that got to him the most, that he couldn't get out of his head, was that she seemed to, by virtue of her reactions, and this is just crazy, but stay with me on this, by virtue of her reaction in terms of the sounds that were coming out of her mouth, that she seemed to have enjoyed it. And so even after the acts, first and foremost, it's such a terrible thing for any husband to have to witness that happening to his wife. I mean, we've heard cases of men say, look, instead of you to do this, please kill me, or take anything that you want to take from me, but don't do this to my wife. And to an extent, you should be able to understand that it is not an easy thing for a man to witness, right? And so they go through that unfortunate incident, the most heartbreaking thing ever. And then they're trying to heal afterwards. They go for therapy, they try to talk about it and just get the whole experience off of their chest and all of that. And, they seem to be making some progress. I mean, gradually they start to get intimate with each other again. He starts to be able to sleep with her and all, just trying to overcome that whole tragedy that happened. But eventually, after some time of trying, he would touch her and recoil from her, and he could see the pain in her eyes, because as much as it was such a terrible thing for him to witness, his wife was violated as well. So she's going through her own trauma. He's going through his own trauma. But the unfortunate thing is that he says that at some point, he could not bear the thought of touching her anymore. Because even when he tried, it wasn't just that he saw what happened again in his head. It was that he heard her reaction to being violated. And he was like, when he then braced himself to be able to have a conversation with her, he said he asked her, why were you moaning when you were being violated? And she was like, she was not enjoying it. It wasn't anything there was nothing enjoyable about it, but her body was reacting. But it is not of her own will. But to him now, the reason why he couldn't continue and decided not to continue in that relationship anymore after probably months of trying to heal and get therapy from it, he couldn't get over the fact that because of what he heard while she was being violated, he said she was enjoying it. And that was what he can't stand. He says it's the same thing that happens when I'm with you. I hear the same sound. So why would I be hearing that when you're being violated? Like, she was crying, but intermittently, those sounds were coming out. And he was like, I don't understand it. You shouldn't have reacted that way. And that's what led to the breakdown of that marriage. And so I want to get your thoughts on this. It's a very difficult thing to process, I know. I mean, there are the men thinking how on earth, and then there are the women thinking, but she's the one that experienced it. Why would you think that she enjoyed it in any way? Why would you ever go there to the point that you can't even touch your wife again? And I just want to hear both perspectives on this conversation. So please call in and let's talk, okay? Did he overreact? Or is it a thing that a man just can't live with? Being married to your wife and such a thing happens to her and you can't deal with it anymore. Again, I gave you his background, sort of. It's something that he had decided. And so to him, this is a normal reaction. But you should have seen the backlash on him, was crazy. So call in. Let's talk about this, okay? 0700 951 0000. You can also call on 080 959 74869. The line is open on WhatsApp as well, so calling as well, and let's talk. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. Welcome.
Well, this is your storyline.
Say that again?
An incident of that happened.
What's your name, sir? What's your name, sir? Okay. All right, go ahead.
In Dusa.
Go ahead, sir. Good to have you here.
The wife really gave back. And the thief is not thief around, came over to the compound. To raid the compound, the whole compound. And unfortunately, they were my neighbor then. And because of raiding the compound, they attempted to rape two of the married women in the compound.
Mm.
One of them, when the act was about to take place, he started passing us to because her stomach was overturned and they tied the husband, beat the man, and tried to rape her wife as well. And then the wife was passing hospital during the course of that rape. And they left that woman. I went to the other Hausa man's compound and did the same thing, but unfortunately the woman was enjoying it.
how was it obvious that she like what happened that anyone would think that she was
They
enjoying
came
it?
to work in the whole compound. It was a compound. It's facing a facing compound.
Yes.
So many rooms. So after the rape the outside man's wife, they beat the man as well. But while they are raping the man, according to the man, the next day, that is no longer doing the marriage again. And the marriage is empty.
Okay.
Because the one was complaining, and then everybody was pleading that we should evaluate it. But we have someone repeat that why can't our wife test excreta the way the other.
Can you imagine? Okay, so that was the
Yeah,
basis
yeah.
because the other woman reacted that differently, and so he thought his
Yeah.
wife would react like that.
Yeah, so you see, the tough one is still right. But I don't think it's enough reason to put such a woman away. Because everybody has his own way of reacting to
Yeah.
sexual act.
Yeah. All right.
There are two women that were raped that day. One was passing the hospital already. The other was about to start. So they
Okay.
left the abandoned her.
Okay.
The other woman did not pass anything. I was enjoying it
All right then.
unconsciously.
Okay.
My name is Dr. Paris from Together.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I mean, these things are just so. How? So he's comparing the reaction of the other woman to the reaction of his wife, and that's how he determined that she was enjoying it. I mean, okay, I would like to have probably, I mean, if you're medical personnel and you're listening, I don't know who, maybe it's the anatomist, so I'm not quite sure who we can have weigh in on this medically to help us make sense of some of these things that are happening, because we need to be able to understand from both sides, right? But like I said, the person who shared the story faced a lot of backlash. I'm going to be sharing with you some of the reactions that we saw, while also getting your reactions as well. Maybe just take a few messages, go on the break, and then we'll come back to it. Let's see who we have here. Good evening. First, this is so sad. It's unfortunate that it happened. But when the man asked, you should have just told him it was reflex. There we go. That's the response. But I want to quickly ask, was she crying or was she just moaning? That's two different things. She was crying. Who wouldn't cry at something like that? Anyway, we have a quick commercial break. When I come back, we'll get into this. It's really complicated, but we should be able to make some sense of it at the end of this conversation. Do stay with us. We'll be back.
Wake up to us. Go to bed with us.
We are inspired by our roots, boundless. We create our own.
Audio Jungle.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
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 This is Nigeria. This is Nigeria Info.
A husband and wife who unfortunately their home was raided and the woman was violated right in front of her husband. But there's a lot of backlash on the man regarding his reactions afterwards, because even though they went through therapy and they tried to heal from it, the man just says, look, I can't touch her anymore. It's something that I've always told myself that I would not be able to cope with, much, especially if she cheated, much less if she was violated and right in front of my eyes. And so the marriage has come apart. You know, they're no longer together, and people are saying, look, you should have been able to stay. Whatever it is that you thought your wife was experiencing while she was being violated, it's not what you thought. She couldn't possibly have enjoyed being violated by people in front of her husband. I have a comment here that to get us back into the conversation, and then I'll open up the phone lines and have you people jump in as well. So I have a comment here. It says, a lot of things people don't understand about rape. It is a violation not just of the mind but the body. That means that you are forced into engaging and feeling something your mind didn't agree to. This is why they say even when a man is violated, he can have an erection until it possibly just takes him apart. Or that a woman can apparently moan or have an orgasm. It doesn't mean the person won't feel violated. That's the entire reason it's a crime. They entered and took access without consent. And so the whole point of this comment is to say that the man himself, you know, doesn't understand what it is like for somebody to be violated in that manner. And so for him to have thought that she was enjoying it is very wrong. And then to go ahead and leave his wife. I mean, it's a conversation that is difficult to have when you look at it in the real sense of things. And so when I saw the backlash against the man, people were like, oh, it's good that you left her. She deserves better and all of that. Is it possible that there is a certain trauma that a man can witness that he can't come away from, right? But I think the biggest problem people are having with this entire conversation is that he saw her go through that, saw that she was in pain, but it is the fact that he said she was moaning that he can't get over. How does a couple actually come back from that kind of thing? How do they heal from that? I'd like, again, like I said, the medical people to weigh in. I don't have my therapist with me. Perhaps I can bring them to pick up this conversation when we get them back on Tuesday, but I'd like to hear from you as well. Do you think the man overreacted in this particular instance, or was he right to, end the married with his wife. Let's get back to the phone lines, okay? Remember, you can call on 07009510000 or 08095974869. And you can also reach me on WhatsApp, which is where I'm taking this call from right now. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Somi.
Yes, welcome back.
Yes,
This is Omar. Yes, Omar, go ahead.
That's my name.
Go ahead.
Somi, me, I'm a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Agani, I got the pipe, I got the pee, you know. I don't know. I'm trying to understand. I don't know how ladies feel when there's a penetration, kind of. You understand? Since I describe it for you that I am a man,
Yes.
so I feel what I feel because I go the pee, right?
Yes.
But I don't know how anybody will be violated, because this is what I, to me, it's a forceful carnal knowledge, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's not consent for it. You don't agree to it. It means somebody is forcing you to do this. So how on earth will such a thing take place? And I know you can't do such thing now, because you should be in pain. Like this thing could be. No. I'm trying to. The question is just like, I don't know how to fix it. I didn't figure what I mean.
Please try and frame it into a question so I can understand exactly where you're coming from it. Are you saying that the fact that she moaned proved that it was not
that he was just there. He was getting the message.
Is it possible that he even misheard?
Huh?
Is it possible that what he heard was not even what he thought it was?
That one don't come like 2 times.
No, but we have someone saying that even if one's body reacts that way, it's not because they are enjoying it, you know. So the woman in this case, and I just have this message that popped in here now. Anonymous sent in a message saying, of course, anonymous. If you look at the tone of the message, you will understand why they're anonymous. Saying that woman, you know, would go through life hating herself, not just herself, but hating her body for responding that way, because that is what she's now being judged on. And Anonymous, who sent in this message, said that she had a similar experience and she's not recovered from it. I want to believe, even though you didn't state your gender, but
yes,
she can relate.
We say the same thing now.
Yes. So that her body responded that way does not mean that she enjoyed it. So why should she be judged based off on that?
God. You see, you cannot be slapping me, for instance, and ask me to smile. You cannot be slapping me and ask me to smile. You cannot be beating me, then I will forcefully smile. It's not possible. It is not possible. If you go to my head, I can't smile that time. You can't. It is when something is, the thing is, you know, the level that you hear that sound. You understand? So I don't know. For me,
it's difficult.
For me, you might enjoy make me. Maybe go look for the Amaba. It may have come like more than once.
You're speaking like you will have done what this man did in this scenario. It's so such a thing. God forbid that it happens.
God forbid.
God forbid. Now, indeed.
This is why I see.
Yes.
You cannot be in pain and smile at the same time. You cannot be in pain and enjoy anything at all. Because that person should be in pain. I don't figure what I mean. At that time, that action should be like, it should be painful. Like, it should be like, no, I don't want this. You'll be probably fighting the person or anything.
Which she did. He'll
be fighting.
Apparently, she was crying. That's what I'm saying. So, is it possible that, in fact, I can't even.
Even you are confused.
It's like I said, it's a difficult conversation to have. It's a difficult conversation to have.
For me, I don't know. I mean, I can't figure such thing out.
I understand.
I cannot be in pace and enjoy anything on the most serious note.
I understand.
It's the truth. Thank you.
All right, then.
Let me leave it to others.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. All right, the phone lines are still open. We're taking comments and contributions on this. I've had the men call in and share their thoughts on this. I don't know if it's something that a woman can even weigh in on, to be honest. It's a really, really difficult conversation to have. Well, one of the comments, like I said, this person received a lot of backlash. At a point, people were even doubting that the story was true, but it just so turns out that one of the first people that called also said like something similar happened within their neighborhood. And so these are true life stories, and we just want to be able to get your thoughts on how one can react in this thing and if this man was overreacting at all. Like I said, I have a few more comments to share concerning the backlash that he faced, but let's take some more calls before we do that. Hello.
Hello, good day, well done.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Ezekiel calling
Welcome.
from Kubwa.
Good to have you here, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. You see, it's on a very serious issue. But at the same time, if you look at it this way, to me, I look at it as a lack of understanding. It's a very simple thing. Because if the love is there, you don't mind of that. You take it out of your mind and go ahead with your life. That is just it. God bless you. Well done.
All right. Thank you. Ike there says, if the love is there and you truly understand, and understanding now, not just from the point of a husband to a wife, but a husband to a wife who got to experience something as traumatic as that one, even though he himself by proxy witnessed, not by proxy, he witnessed it there and then. Whether he felt moved to the point that he could sympathize with his wife and empathize with his wife is another thing, because according to him, he said she was making sounds like she enjoyed it. I mean, I have a comment here. A lady was speaking, and she said, you couldn't protect her and you don't want to accept the guilt. Her supposed moans tormenting you meant your skills in bed were so bad and you haven't experienced that side of her. She says, as a walking red flag that you are, instead of seeking her to help her heal better by comforting and reassuring her, knowing her nightmares would be way worse, you made yourself the victim. And they said you can't have a successful marriage because long-lasting marriages are based on forgivenesses. And you need to ask your forefathers and mothers. Though the story seems like a lie, I hope you learn one or two. Again, you hear some of these things and you just be like, people are going through this? Like, is this for real? Is this for real? Well, apparently this happened to this person, and it's not just happened to them, it's happened to some other people as well. We had another listener who called and said, look, yes, indeed, the man ended up walking away from his wife, but is the reason why they are walking away that I guess is bringing up this discussion here. And really, how could you possibly see someone go through that and think that they enjoyed it? Well, we had Umar who said you can't be in pain and smiling. Some people would argue with you about that. Anyway, the phone lines are still open. Let's get some more thoughts and contributions on this, okay? It's 07009510000. You can also call 08095974869. It seems that my WhatsApp is not... Forgive me. My Facebook doesn't seem to be up, but on YouTube you can join in on the conversation as well. So for those of you who are listening there, do send your messages or your thoughts on your contributions to this. Was the man overreacting in this instance? Odo Ugochukwu, I see you. He says good evening here. Thank you so much, Odo. We see you. All right, then hello. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Good evening to you.
Welcome, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I would like to remain anonymous.
That's great. Go ahead, please.
What I want to say is I've been listening to this story going on.
Yeah.
The situation is I'm a healthcare professional, right?
Right.
I am a pharmacist.
Okay.
Right? I am also a man that has been raped.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. I'm a man that has been raped. When I say that, they're probably thinking, people listening probably thinking, oh, a man raped him. No, I was raped by a woman. I was raped by a woman that I was dating, right?
And let me first of all try to describe what rape means. Rape simply is unwanted intercourse.
Right.
You might find the person extremely attractive, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might have been dating the person for ages. You might have even a husband and a wife that have been married for 10, 12, 15 years or whatever, and they find each other attractive and they do whatever they want to do together. Rape comes in where, okay, let me speak about the UK. While I was in the UK, while I was a pharmacist in the UK, right?
Right.
This situation actually, this wife sued her husband for rape, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was in court for months. She won the case simply because evidences and all that showed. Yes, they went out for dinner, whatever, they had fun, they were both a little tipsy, having fun, and they both, in agreement, started to have intercourse when they got home, right?
Right.
Maybe 30 minutes, an hour, I don't know, I wasn't there, into the intercourse, the woman said, "It's hurting, please stop." But he was tipsy or something, I don't know. Or he didn't stop because he thought, oh, you're my wife. But when we're having fun, we had a good time. And he continued. And next day, a few days later, she went to the police and it became a court case. He lost the case. He had to do prison, I don't remember how many years, maybe five, I don't know how many years they gave for rape.
This is a husband and a wife. They were married.
They were married,
Right.
legally married. And they got home after a night out, a good night out. It was actually, you made the news. But the point is, he lost the case. He had to go to prison. I had been raped by my then girlfriend. At that stage, we dated about 2 years or whatever. She was coming to my house quite often. I used to hit her house. The point is that the night the night she raped me, right?
Yes.
I had been working very, very late. I started at 7 a.m., closed by 10 p.m. Went to see her because I think she had just come back from holiday or whatever, and I spent the night at hers. Because after I went to see her, we still went out for dinner, so we got home way after midnight.
Right.
And then I was saying, no, I went to shower and then I went to sleep, and then she went to shower. And after she came out of the shower, she was feeling lovey-dovey and whatnot and trying to touch and whatnot. I said, "Darling, I am tired. I need to sleep. I need to wake up very early in the morning to go to work tomorrow. I've been at work all day." I told her all this, and she was just saying, I don't care. I've missed you. I need to get mine. I missed you. I need to get mine. And I was saying, I'm too tired. I don't even have the strength to even push you away. Please get off. And she literally just pushed me back and did what she had to do. Did I say I didn't enjoy it? Well, truth be told, of course I did enjoy it. It was my girlfriend. And she probably is still an extremely attractive girl. But rape came into it because I said, I don't want it. And she still continued. That is rape.
So lack of
Unwanted
consent.
intercourse. A lack of consent. Unwanted. No consent and you still go? Rape. There is no two ways about that. That is what I have to say regarding it.
Right. Okay.
So no, there's no justification of rape. None at all. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, Anonymous. Honestly, thank you. It can't have been an easy thing to do and an easy thing to go through. And, so I can imagine that even when you said, okay, yeah, because the person, I was dating them or this person was my spouse or anything, there's a feeling that you're left with afterwards that you just know that is you were violated, right? So the essence of it is that whole violation thing. Well, I did want a few medical opinions on this, and so I'm going to be sharing. Apparently, there's some myths when it comes to rape and arousal, and just to clear that up, just because we had some callers say, look, these two things can happen at the same time. Apparently, it is a wrong notion to think that arousal cannot occur during rape. There was a report that was done at some point. According to research, of those who report their rape, around 5% also describe experiencing arousal or orgasm. But this does not mean that they were not sexually assaulted and that they enjoyed it. Also, rape does not always involve penile penetration. I know some of you were shocked when the last caller shared that a woman took her husband to court and won the case, right? So yes, contrary to popular belief, you can have rape in the cases where it's someone who you know was close to you, may not necessarily be violent. Apparently, some survivors surrender to protect themselves or their loved ones, while others are intoxicated, just as we had the last caller share. Sometimes they are drugged, right? So it's not, you can be violated even though it's not violently done, and so your body will react even if you're not aware, right? Sometimes the person is physically or mentally incapacitated or in a situation where there is an imbalance of power, and so they may not necessarily present as violent rape, but it is rape all the same. It is a violation all the same. And said that according to research, in addition, some rapists are married to their victims, just like the last caller shared. And in some cases, some rapists are women. Yes, indeed, some women do rape men, just like our last caller shared. And sometimes, I understand the typical African man thinking and going, how? Never, never. Well, there are cases where these things have happened. A 2004 reviewed paper, in a 2004 review paper, a clinician reported that they have met quite a lot of victims who are males who had full sexual response during sexual abuse while they were being violated, of course. They said they've also met several female victims of incest or rape who orgasmed. So it is in a large number of cases a myth to think that one cannot be raped and have an arousal at the same time, right? So just wanted to put that out there to give a little bit more context to the conversation that we're having, because I know for a minute that you're thinking like this two can't go together. Well, apparently your body does react differently, and that's why we had Anonymous earlier who sent in a message and said she'd experienced this thing before and she has not recovered from it because she ended up hating not just herself for what happened, but also her body's response to it as well. I'm going to be sharing some more opinions, especially medically, that can help us have a better understanding of things like this when they happen. Like I said, when this person shared it on social media, they experienced a lot of backlash, and it's possible that the man was reacting from a place of his own understanding. And so it's important that we have conversations like this a lot of the time, just to sort of broaden one's knowledge of certain things that happen to people. We've had cases where parents have ostracized their own daughters who were raped because how dare you? I mean, you've had cases where even the father is saying, what were you wearing? What were you doing? That's the conversation they're having, as opposed to saying, or supposed to sort of like understanding or trying to help their own child heal from the trauma of something like this that happened. So in case you're listening and you're thinking from the point of a spouse or a husband to a wife, imagine that this happened to your daughter. Would you also say she was enjoying it just because she had some sort of response? But it's again, like I said, it's difficult. So let me not sort of like set the tone for the conversation, but I'm bringing this up so we can talk about it, we can share, we can better understand, and then God forbid these things happen to us, but we want to be able to help people who have gone through this heal, because I promise you that woman didn't want this thing to happen to her. And so for you to really, like, if your mind should even be, I'm thinking like my mind, if I was the one in this case, again, the man has his background. I started by laying the foundation, right? What he said about he can't stand the fact that another man would touch his wife or his girlfriend. Like, even when he was cheated on, he loved her so much, but he couldn't deal. And so this is sort of like what you also see playing out in this scenario with his wife. But people were saying he didn't react properly, some say he's doing what he's doing out of guilt because he couldn't protect his wife, and all of that. And we're just trying to understand, from all angles, what possibly one can do in these instances. Okay, all right. I have another perspective here. Someone says, how do you possibly feel pleasure when you're in danger? What happens to crying and shouting in pain? When one is raped, it revolved around someone being forced. So he says, all of the way they judge the man, it means that women are programmed that way now, Abi. I thought you well said, he says, when someone you are not into touches you, you feel somehow. At least pretend to be in pain and struggle. Do something else, not moan. Like, what on earth is that kind of a reaction? The man has his own fault, but he's already traumatized. A man is not iron, they have feelings too. All right, then. We are maybe some 5 minutes away from wrapping up this conversation. So let's take some more thoughts on this, and I'll share some information as well, and we can move on. A few more calls, maybe one or two. So 0700 951 0000 is the number to call. You can also call or send a message on WhatsApp, okay? 080 30137. All right, I talked about some myths. Let's share it. Rape myths are false beliefs that people hold about sexual assault that shift blame from the perpetrator to the survivor. Rape myths have grown out of a long-standing gender roles, acceptance of violence, and incorrect information concerning sexual violence that exists in our society. These false statements not only shame survivors into silence, they also hurt our community's general knowledge of sexual assault, stating and stalking. The most effective way to confront and tackle rape myths is to educate oneself on the facts and challenge them when you encounter them. But it starts from a place of understanding. So I'll be sharing some of those myths again, but I promise to take a few more calls. Let's see if we can get to it very quickly. Hello? Okay. All right then. Let's see, do we have someone on WhatsApp? No, we don't. Oh yeah, we do. Okay. Let's get that call. Hello? Hello? Okay. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hello, Somi. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm calling from Asukuro.
Go ahead, please. Good to have you here. Oh, dear. And the network did that one. All right, let me quickly share these myths and see what we can do to better understand it. First one. Rape only happens to certain type of women. That's not true. As a matter of fact, any person of any gender, race, class, religion, occupation, physical ability, and all of that can indeed be violated. The perpetrator does not choose the victim because they're young, pretty, or provocatively dressed. They choose the victim because the person is vulnerable. They may select a victim who's smaller or weaker than they are, who is alone or isolated, or who is incapacitated or handicapped in some way, or who does not suspect that it is about to happen. I'm sure you've heard of little children being violated. You've also heard of older women being violated as old as 70, 80, right? And so it's not a certain type of women kind of thing. In this particular instance, they didn't target her before they got there. They got there and decided to do what they did to sort of I think to humiliate the man primarily. And I think that's one of the things that men struggle with dealing with in those instances, right? It's the fact that they were helpless.
Setbacks are not new to us. No. Even when the going gets tough, we stand strong. And our strikes are problems.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.